You're listening to the Getting Into Alignment podcast with your host, Alexa Ray Smith. I am an energetic mentor for women in life and biz. I am here to help you energetically align with all of your desires. I help you do this by reprogramming your subconscious mind, manifesting your dreams, and quantum leaping your success. Each episode is going to be a coaching moment filled with life-changing information, tools, and concepts, activating you to create the most out of this world life. This podcast is for the woman who is ready to have it all. The woman who wants to create a limitless life on her own terms. The woman who wants to build an empire, have spiritual wealth, and abundance in all areas of her life. It's time to raise your standards and elevate your frequency because your dream life is ready to be claimed. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. My name is Alexa. If you're new around here, I'm an energetic mentor. And today I want to talk to you about energetics. I really want to make sure that you understand how important it is to at least have a basic understanding of what energetics is. Now, there are so many different ways to approach this topic. I have an entire course on it because there's just so much. So I'm going to try to very succinctly make it so that you can understand the science behind it, but also how it affects you. Because science can be a little daunting if you weren't good at science in school, or if you're just like, oh, I'm not really into like these heavy things. But you can understand it in a way that is practical. And that's the best thing about listening to podcasts or learning from other people is that if you're not someone that wants to do all the reading and the understanding and the analyzing of it all, which like I geek out on, please, like I just love learning so much, but that's not everyone's vibe, right? So it's a lot easier sometimes to learn from someone else who has spent years, hours upon hours, going down rabbit holes on every which way of this subject. Like I was literally up until 2:00 in the morning the other night reading this like book that I stumbled upon online about the history of Qigong and it like teaching you all of the practices. And it was like a very, very long document. And I was having a blast until I realized what time it was. And I was like, oh geez, I should go to bed. I don't typically stay up late like that, but that's just what happens. I'm a manifesting generator in human design. If something piques my interest, whoop, right down the rabbit hole we go. So Qigong, if you are not familiar with it, is, so if we want to talk about energy, about 2,500 years ago, Qigong was invented. And you might have heard about Qi, the flow of energy. Now, this is referred to in many other civilizations under many other names, but just for this podcast, I'm only going to be talking about Qi. So Qigong is essentially working with the energy system in your body, the energy channels in your body. So it's called the human energy field. And we all have channels, meridians, gates running through our body. Now, if you are familiar with acupuncture, as we call it, that's putting needles in. And that was a practice that started unbalancing the energy meridians in China long ago under a different name, but we brought it to Western civilization, though we haven't really carried over much of the other concepts. Now, if you're familiar with human design, you know that there are gates and channels that run through and they connect with the open and defined centers in your body graph, which are taken from the chakra system, the Hindu chakra system. So you can see how there's an overlap. As you're always going to hear me say, I'm always going to be weaving together this information. We're multidimensional. And in order for you to fully analyze things, I'm an audio digital learner anyway. So in order for me, I need all of the information. I need from start to finish, I need to be able to understand it from every single angle. And then I'm like, okay, good, got it. And I got it. But if I don't got it, like I need more information. I got to keep asking these questions. Like I need somebody to help me out, even if it's myself. So you can see that there's going to be a lot of tying together here, and that's why I just wanted to start like at the beginning of it. Well, as I was saying, that we haven't pulled much of these teachings about energy over. So what becomes difficult when we as Westerners, if you are a Westerner listening to this anyway, for us, it's kind of complicated because growing up in school, we learned Newtonian physics. The Newtonian world is not accurate anymore. It hasn't been for a long time, that is to say. It's just that Einstein truly hated the idea of quantum physics. And quantum physics it's a science that says that everything in the world is energy. And it is. We are all vibrating, and it is so complex for you to wrap your mind around that, because at the most fundamental level, what quantum physics is saying is that everything that we can see, touch, and feel is energy. And everything that seems to be solid is really just moving particles that are held together by the observation of our consciousness. Now, I know that that's a lot, and like consciousness is a whole nother topic that we're not going to get into today because we have a lot to go over in a very short amount of time. So to just understand that is a lot. And now the reason why Einstein hated it was because basically everything that is so matter of fact about science is now not as matter of fact, because it's based on the fact that we do truly live in a holographic universe. So when I say that, if you think of how think of a movie where you see an actual hologram come in, there's typically some pixelation. You can see that you can tell it's not a real person. It might look very real, but if you really examine it, it's not solid. It's not a real human being. The idea is, if you were to look at your skin under a microscope at an insane level, you would see that your skin is not solid. It's not solid matter. It is a bunch of vibrating, moving particles. And of course, this is at a very, very insane level, microscopic level. You are particles. We all are. And it's so difficult for us to comprehend that, because we have always been taught that we're living in a 3D world and everything is as it is. That's just honestly such a very simplistic way of viewing the world. There are wave forms of energy and there are particle forms of energy. What we are seeing and experiencing are the particle forms of energy. So what happens is there's a wave of energy when one portion of that wave, one particle of that wave is being observed, which means consciousness has to exist because only consciousness can observe. That means then and only then does the wave become a particle. And if you're following me, that basically means that energy can be completely manipulated. And if we are going back to why I started at the beginning of energy work studies, or what should be around the beginning, is because we have, for a very long time in human history, have shown that there have been energy healers that are able to make major, if not total and complete, transformation from someone being sick to someone being healthy. And they are addressing the energy within the body and the energy flow within the body. Because if the energy flow is distorted, if it's in excess, if it's deficient in any way, shape, or form, that's when anything is going to have a disease. And you've probably heard, if you've studied manifestation, that disease starts in the spiritual world and then it shows up in the physical world last. That's what we're talking about here. If you're someone that doesn't believe in any of this, you're not meant to be in my world, because this is what we geek out on. The insane bridge that I always knew existed between science and spirituality. And I am so excited to be able to talk about how these two really do not only weave together, but they overlap and they're constantly in communication with one another, because you truly cannot have one without the other. So, with that being said, that is why energy work can heal things. That's why you've heard when people have blocked chakras that it causes issues. And if you've ever had a chakra that's been blocked, you have witnessed that in yourself, whether it's been an emotional issue, whether it's been a mental issue, whether it's been a physical issue. They can all populate in different ways. So if we understand that we are energy, when I say that we are energy, when we go back to that microscope, not only are we energy, we and everything that we see is 99.99999 repeating percent energy. So we are more energy, and so is everything else in the world, than anything else. And it takes a lot for the human brain to be able to comprehend this. I totally get it. There are still times when I read about this and it trips me out because I feel like I've swallowed, what was it, the red pill in the Matrix, where you're like, oh my God, I can't come back from this. I can't unsee it. And it's totally liberating at one point, but then it's also like enough to make you just go into the void forever. So because we are all energetic beings, that is why energy and understanding energy is the most vital thing that you can do, because it truly affects everything. Now, in order to be able to manipulate energy, though, in order to be able to fully grasp this, you have to put the mindset piece in there as well. Because if your mind is constantly telling you, that's not real, then you're going to have a really hard time working with your own energetics and really understanding how to manipulate energy, because in all essence, manipulating energy is manifestation, right? When we talk about manifestation, we are under the idea, the assumption, the belief, the understanding that we can create our own reality. That is based in quantum physics, because again, we are consciousness observing particles, and so we are able to see and manipulate what we see, because it's our concentration on what we are seeing that is bringing it to life. And that's why you'll hear Abraham Hicks say, when you are not living the life that you want to be living, you need to spend more time focusing on the life that you want to be living. Because where your attention goes, energy flows. That isn't just a spiritual concept. That's not just something that was made up in the trendy manifestation community. It is an actual science-based fact. But do most people take the time to explain or understand that? No, most people are just learning manifestation on TikTok, and you might learn some cool little fun things, but TikTok in a 3-minute video, you're never going to be able to get all of the information you need, because in order to understand manifestation, you have to agree that you're willing to release what you were taught in school, how you've been told to live almost your entire life, and you're willing to see things differently. You're willing to rewire your subconscious mind to support the idea that this is even possible. You're going to do the shadow work that's involved from all of the trauma that you've been carrying in your energetic field that's been stored in your body from feeling situations, experiences that you didn't process when you were younger. And that's all going to be coming up because you're going to start manipulating energy and you're going to start raising your frequency and your vibration. And in order to do that, you have to clear your energetic field, which means that's why there's so many energy practices happening. And when we talk about acupuncture, that might not be something you've ever done, but if you're someone that's listening to this, I bet that you have done EFT tapping, emotional freedom techniques, and that operates under the same pretenses that there are energy meridians in the body. The idea with tapping is you vibrate on all the meridians while saying a negative belief that has an associated negative feeling with it, which is typically the root cause of a past experience that's still stored negatively in your body. And we're trying to bring that up and clear it. And it can get cleared through tapping the meridians because the particles, and hear me out, that means that when we are tapping on a meridian, when we're accessing the meridian point and energy work is being done, the particle form that is holding that disease, that negative charge, it then no longer becomes a particle because it's being tapped on, it's being vibrated, if it's acupuncture, whatever the form of energy work is. And the particle is then being turned back into the wave by that energy work, that energy manipulation, that transmutation, the alchemy, whatever word you want to use, because all of these words have been associated with so many things throughout history. This isn't new. Like, these aren't new concepts. It's just we have so much of a better understanding of how it works from every fucking angle now. And it's the most beautiful thing. It just geeks me out. I get so excited. If you had told me when I was younger that quantum physics is going to be your favorite thing to talk about, I would say, fuck no, it's not. But here we are. When we manipulate energy, it is taking a particle form and is turning it back into a wave. And that is the energetic scientific way to say that. Now, what that actually looks like or sounds like in a way that's a little more understandable for you in more layman's terms, you've heard people say that there are infinite possibilities and there's infinite potential. And that's what it means. So that wave is filled with limitless potential. It's filled with all of these different experiences, these different timelines. When you hear people talk about timelines, that's what they're talking about. It's the wave of energy. Where are you in that wave of energy? On that wave, there can be negative, there can be positive, but wherever the attention is going, that's which potentiality is being manifested. So, in terms of sickness, the body is being cleared energetically, the particle can go back into the waveform and it can go into an aligned version, the positive version, the way it's meant to be, so that the energy block can get cleared. From a manifestation perspective, that means that what your attention goes to, where your focus is going to, what you're allowing yourself to believe is all something that you are consciously creating because you are consciously observing this reality. And the only way this reality exists is by your conscious observation of it. And that is why people can see the world so differently, because everyone is vibrating at a different level. Everyone does have a different understanding of this. People that don't understand this are often stuck in struggle because we live in a society that doesn't teach you this, especially if you're in the Western world. At least in the Eastern world, they've always taught more spirituality-based principles. They've always taught energy healing. There's just such a different divide. And I, growing up, was always like, how the freak did I end up in America? Like, this is not the place for me. I was studying Buddhism when I was 16 years old and obsessed. I had a pagoda near me growing up, which was just incredible that I had one. I'm from upstate New York in the country. I mean, I guess that's where one would be if it was going to be anywhere, but it was just, Buddhism was something that always spoke to me. The Eastern religions, the Eastern way of life, the plant-based living, the the mysticism, all of it. It just all always spoke to me. And I think now, where I know now, it's because I've definitely lived so many lives, and it was no, like, energy is a thing, and it always resonated with me. But I believe that all of my years of studying, from spirituality to religion to energy to healing to health, it's all made it so I have this vast array of knowledge, and it makes sense that I'm able to weave it all together. So if any of this went over your head, I just want you to know that the fact that you're even listening to this or trying to grasp it is super incredible. When it's really dense topics like this, you typically have to listen to it more than once for it to sink in, because again, your subconscious mind, for you to be able to understand it, for you to be able to work with this, you have to really get this. And one thing I want to say while we're still closely on the wave and particle thing is, when you hear people use the term quantum leaping, that's literally what they're talking about in a scientific understanding. Every atom is vibrating, so it's constantly changing states. And an atom can jump from one state to a higher energy level. And when it does this, it's instantaneous. And there's only a probability. No one can say for sure when that's going to happen, where it's going to happen. Everything is based on a probability. And that's what Einstein hated about it. He didn't want science to have probabilities. He wanted it to be matter of fact. And this did not make it matter of fact. It literally defies Newtonian theory, which is what everybody went off of. So understanding that these principles are not only scientific, but they're also spiritual, and you can use them to rewire your mind for you to create your dream life. Because if you can visualize it and you can see it in your mind, it's one of the possibilities for your life. Now it's up to you to make sure you're doing the work, to make sure that you're positively oriented and you're focusing on the things that you want, that you're putting off a vibration that you want. And that's when we're going to get to the trendy raise your vibration, raise your frequency. And these terms, while it's always sounded so spiritual and out there, it's actually based on science. Because if we understand now, or at least are willing to accept the idea that we are all energy, and if we can master our own energy, we can not only help heal ourselves on a spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical level, we can also take our power back, because we won't have any energetic leaks, because we will have restored the energy flow in our body. That's why practices like meditation and breath work and tapping, and there's just so many to list, but that's why it's so important that you're doing energy work on top of all of the personal development work. Everything that I teach is holistic, because there is no separation. It's all affecting one another in a various way, whether you realize it or not. When you're putting the energy work and the subconscious work, and you're then tying it together with the manifestation principles, you start realizing that you can create your own reality. You can actually raise your frequency, and that can get you into alignment with your dream reality. That is why you've heard so many rags to riches stories, because these people did not focus on the 3D world and allow it to limit them. They had an idea, they had a vision, they were focused on where they were going, the life that they wanted to live, and they did everything they needed to do, including taking care of themselves, eating healthy, making sure that their body, their energy, their mind are in alignment with the dream life and the goals they're asking for. Then the universe can help you co-create it, because you start to understand that you are mostly energy, so you can work with yourself. And that's why people will say you can communicate in meditation with your highest self, because it's just you at a different frequency, at a higher frequency that you haven't gotten to yet. And because the quantum world is the one that says that time isn't real, time isn't linear, not in a straight line back and forth that we've been made to think of it. It's all happening simultaneously, which I have always known. I famously was always saying, what is time? Because it never a thing for me. And I love Slaughterhouse-Five. That was one of my favorite books growing up. Kurt Vonnegut. If you haven't read it, oh, so good. And he was actually local to the area I was from back home. But anyway, so time isn't linear. If you can align yourself with the highest frequency and hold that frequency and align your thoughts with that frequency and focus on where you want to go, make it very clear to the universe that this is what you desire. This is how you hear people talk about quantum leaping in manifestation, because they are doing the energy work, they're doing the mindset work, they're doing the embodiment work, they are doing the spiritual work, they're doing all of the things. And then they're also realizing, because they are in this 3D world, whether it's a hologram or not, they are actively in it. We are actively in it. And that's so freaking cool. For you to be a conscious co-creator, you need to take action as well. So there's a lot there, right? And you need to trust in the universe supporting you, believe that the universe can support you. There's so much involved in it. But when you understand how important energy is, you start to realize that, hey, this is probably something that I should be paying attention to. Because if you look at the people that you follow on social media, that you go, oh my freaking God, I would love to live their life. Like, I wish I had all the things that they had. I wish I got to feel the way they feel. Like, I wish I got to have the experiences they have. They are showing you what is possible for you. And when you learn to do all of the things we've talked about, and I'm not saying perfectly, but when you start understanding that this is why personal development isn't so black and white, this is why a lot of people tap out, they get stuck in the shadow world, they can't raise their vibration, because there's so many pieces that are important. And of course, this is what I work with my clients on, all of this, because when one thing is out of alignment, it's going to affect everything. That's really it. And that's why I teach energetics and I coach energetics, because this is literally the fucking code of the universe. Like, this is the secrets of the universe that I'm teaching you right here. Like, this is it. If you dedicate yourself to anything, dedicate yourself to understanding this, to embodying these principles, because you can have the most amazing, incredible life. Like, you literally get to have it all, but only if you're willing to do all of the things that is required for you to have it all. Because we've been so conditioned to operate out of alignment that it takes a lot typically to get into alignment. But you can do it. And I have faith in you. And I hope that this served you. And I hope that you were able to really understand the potency of energetics. And if you're new to this world, you might be like, holy fuck, dude, she just took me down a rabbit hole with her. And I did. And I feel like I threw so much information out. Like 4 minutes in, I looked down, felt like I had been talking for 20 minutes, and it was 4 minutes in, and I was like, oh Lord. So this is jam packed. I got on here and basically just taught a mini program right here. This is a mini energetics program. If you want to go deeper into energetics, I do have a program called Energetics, and it will help you raise your frequency, and it will help you master your energetics. It will be up on my website soon for you to be able to purchase. So you can follow me on Instagram at Alexa Ray Smith, and you will be the first to know when it's available. Or you can just always check on my site, alexaraysmith.com. So yeah, I feel like I threw a lot of information at you right now, and we're looking at my angel numbers. We're at 33. I am going to leave you with this. I'm going to let you marinate with this. This is a lot. It's a lot of dense information when you're new to it. Also, it's important to have all of this information, because it's very easy to feel like there's something wrong with you, or you're not doing something right, or you're not as far along as you should be, or everyone else has it figured out and you're never going to figure it out. But I hope that by listening to this, you realized how multifaceted growth is, how multidimensional healing is, how many moving pieces, pun not intended, but we'll put it there, really go into you being the master of your own life and you being able to be a conscious creator. That's why when people say in comments online that this manifestation thing doesn't work, it's because, is the teacher going this deep? Like, are they giving you all that? Or are they just touching surface level things that never allow you to go deep enough into the energetic healing, deep enough into the mindset reprogramming, deep enough into the energetic embodiment, deep enough into the quantum manifestation worlds? Because there's literally like an axis, and you need to have an understanding in all of them, because without that, you're not going to be able to become a conscious, consistent manifester. And there's nothing wrong with you. You're doing great. But I just want you to know, like, if you've taken courses and programs or you've watched videos and read books and you're like, why can't I do this? It's because there's a lot. There's a lot involved. So be easier on yourself and maybe take some time to evaluate. Okay, yeah, like I have taken a manifestation course, but do I feel like I have done any energy healing? Do I feel like I've really reprogrammed my mind? Do I feel like I'm really embodying the energy of the person that I want to be? Do I feel like I really understand a manifestation process that works for me? Just while we're saying this, there's no fucking thing as a specific or non-specific manifester in human design. So please delete that concept. I'm not going to get into that rant today. If that's what you're using for your manifestation practice, find someone else, because it's just straight up wrong. Anyway, I love you so much. I had a fucking blast, which is why I'm still talking right now. This is like seriously a mini program. I'm so excited for you to dig into this. Please, please, please shoot me a DM and let me know what you thought of this. There is truly nothing that I love talking about more. I love geeking out with people on these topics. So if you are someone else that is like me, then we got to talk, because it'll just be so much fun.